A few weeks ago, the United States and Iran agreed to a temporary ceasefire. Today, that agreement has completely collapsed, and the two nations are officially back at war. The break in the fighting ended when the United States abruptly canceled a special waiver. That waiver allowed Iran to sell small, limited amounts of oil on the global market. Almost immediately after the U.S. pulled that waiver, missiles began falling. Iran retaliated by targeting 3 commercial cargo ships navigating the region. One of the primary targets was a Qatari vessel named the Al Raqiat. It's a massive tanker carrying liquefied natural gas, and following the strike, authorities reported the ship was at risk of exploding. The United States quickly fired back. U.S. forces launched counterstrikes against Iranian air defense systems and coastal radar sites located in Bandar Abbas and Keshm Island. The brief pause in the violence is over. Because neither side resolved their underlying disputes during the ceasefire, the region is now right back in the middle of a high-intensity military conflict. This map shows the Persian Gulf, focusing on the Strait of Hormuz, the only exit to the open ocean. 1/5 of the world's oil supply relies on this narrow stretch. Iran's strategy is to physically blockade this exact spot, stopping commercial traffic from leaving. When you block the exit, the oil cannot leave. That transforms a localized fight between two militaries into a direct physical threat to the global economy's main energy artery. With the conflict escalating, civilian companies are refusing to send ships into the danger zone. Global shipping through the region has frozen. To avoid the blockade, cargo fleets are abandoning their normal routes, sailing thousands of miles out of their way around Africa. These detours require extra fuel, crew time, and insurance. As transit days stretch out, the cost to move a single container multiplies. Think about your daily commute or the device you're watching this on. Prices for gasoline, heating electricity, and consumer electronics all rely on cheap shipping to stay affordable. A frozen shipping lane acts exactly like a global tax. When it costs companies more to move their products, they pass those unavoidable costs directly onto you at the checkout counter. Major multinational corporations are watching this happen in real time. They are realizing that relying on overseas factories and international shipping routes leaves their businesses incredibly vulnerable to distant conflicts. Apple, for example, is taking drastic steps to insulate itself. The company just announced a massive $30 billion agreement with a technology manufacturer called Broadcom. The core objective of this deal is to produce more than 15 billion essential silicon chips, the brains that run modern electronics, entirely within the United States. This specific Broadcom contract is actually one piece of a much larger $600 billion pledge Apple has made to build up its domestic manufacturing and protect its product lines. For decades, tech giants relied on cheap international labor to build their products. Now, geopolitical instability is forcing them to rewire their supply chains in favor of domestic security. This sudden spike in shipping and energy costs is hitting the world at a bad time. The global economy is already under severe financial distress. Since 2020, sovereign borrowing costs for African nations have spiked by 91%. Worldwide, 4.5 billion people live in countries trapped by high interest rates. These debt payments are completely outpacing what governments spend on basic public investments, like hospitals and schools. If you take a country that is already struggling to pay its national debt, and you suddenly increase the price of oil and imported food they need to survive, you risk pushing their entire economy into collapse. Right now, there is no quick diplomatic fix in sight. Both the U.S. and Iran are openly preparing for further military strikes. A local conflict over a 21-mile stretch of water is pushing an already fragile global system to its breaking point. To see where this goes next, make sure to follow for future updates.